Episode 111, Love and Money. Welcome to Gratitude Geek, the relationship marketing podcast helping micropreneurs find your micro-influencer magic. I'm your host, Candice Rodardi, and this week I'm joined by Katrina Sawa. Katrina is known as the Jumpstart Your Biz coach because she kicks her clients into high gear, making more money doing what they love. Katrina is the creator of the Jumpstart Your Marketing and Sales System, international bestselling author with 16 books, including Love Yourself, Successful, and Jumpstart Your New Business Now. Katrina is also the founder of the International Speaker Network, a free educational networking group with thousands of members. Welcome, Katrina.
Hi, Candice. Good to be here.
I met you through your speaker network. It was really cool.
Oh, thank you.
So tell us your story. How did you get to where you are? Share whatever you want. This is your moment to talk about yourself. How often do we get to do that?
I know, right? I love talking about myself. I'm a speaker. What can I say? Right? So I started, I'm a business coach, and now I have a publishing company and the speaker network. And I also do web design. We do a lot, but I've been in business for 20 years, right? From my own business, working from home. Can't even imagine doing anything different. How I found the love of this was when I was in advertising sales for the local newspaper, which was in Northern California. And I used to, go around town knocking on doors, trying to sell ads in the paper. And so I found all these small business owners who would just give me their business card and say, here, run this as my ad. And I'm like, you're not going to get any business from your business card. Like, nobody cares about your logo or your fax number. So let me show you what you need to do. And I would have to educate them on what really needed to be in the ad, how often they needed to run it, and then everything they needed to do in the back end of their business in order to, once people got in the door, what to do with those people and those contacts, because people were just, they're selling them today, but they weren't building a database or a customer base. They would just keep looking for the new sale. And so I did a lot of educating of that, which most ad reps didn't do. And I knew a lot about how to do that. And so I just was tired of seeing people go out of business. And I said, you know what, I can just go out and tell them all this other stuff if I go out on my own and do marketing and business coaching and consulting. So that's what I did. And that's how I started.
That's a good origin story because it came from your heart. You really took something that you loved doing and you turned it into a new business.
I figured out what people needed. I figured out what I was good at. It was kind of by accident, really, and realized that I could make money at it. That's really happened, right? And people stumble into their businesses like that a lot.
And it's usually for a good reason. Okay, so you unlock the door. We're going to talk about this. What really needs to be in a print ad?
Well, I don't recommend print advertising as much anymore, obviously, 20 years later. But I do recommend direct mail still. I still do direct mail to this day. So many people have gotten away from it because it costs money, right? Oh, and now there's social media. You can just do social media and you can do email and you're good. No, it's not enough because there's too much noise now. There's billions of people doing all of that, right? How do you stand out? Well, you need to get in front of their face, in their inbox, in their mailbox, and in their home, physically in their space. So, well, I still could work with people who have brick and mortars, and I do still have businesses who need to do some print advertising like magazines, but I'd rather see them do direct marketing to the ideal clients in their area with some direct mail if they're going to do something like that.
Give 3 tips for direct mail.
You got to be memorable. So if you're a solopreneur like me and you, then you might send something in like a manila envelope. I'm getting ready to send out some books that people want but you get a manila envelope. I like to get the bulky ones, usually with the stuffing on them, and put stuff in it that's not just paper. Like put something fun in it. Like I have all kinds of stuff now. I have my stop it button because I tell people to stop it when they have excuses. So it says, just stop it. You got this. You're amazing. So it's my voice telling you to stop it. Put something in the mail, you guys, that can be more memorable. And that's the first thing you want to do. I
love that you're talking about this because relationship marketing and direct mail, which I don't do direct mail. I do greeting card marketing.
Greeting cards are great too. I keep a stock of greeting cards here, right? You're so awesome. And you're the best. You can get some with your branding on them. So I have cards that I created with my Live Big Mastermind logo. It says grab a book on the back with my URL. And I created the little note inside to pre-written with my picture. And then we send them out with a little written part on it too. And these I got on Vistaprint. And the reason I don't send something like with Send Out Cards or Mailbox Power is because I can't do the little personalization that I want to with that. And it makes a huge difference. Okay. A huge difference. So while those are good for some things, try doing other things as well is what I'd highly recommend.
I'm going to argue with you on that because I think that
Okay.
the cards that I send through Send Out Cards are actually very personalized. And I do,
Yeah.
and you can use your own handwriting font and you can personalize every single card that goes out.
I agree.
Every person that I do a podcast interview with gets a card from Send Out Cards from me that I've personalized to that person. It includes a gift. And it just, some people don't ever say thank you for it, but some people say, wow, I've never had anybody send me a gift for being a guest on their podcast before.
I use them all too. And I have a whole bunch of cards here that people have sent me from Send Out Cards and other things. I'm not saying don't do it. If you have a book, or even if you go to the dollar store, like I'll tell you one Halloween, I went to the dollar store and bought 40 spooky CDs. They were $1, right? So I sent 40 people these little spooky CDs that you could play in the background while people were trick-or-treating. There was music, right? And like I sent 40 people those things in a little bubble wrap. It was and it was something that was super personal. I'm not saying don't do the other, just mix it up is what I would recommend. And try to do little different things because you'll stand out like a sore thumb and people will remember you. And that's the whole goal of any marketing is to be top of mind, right?
Exactly. So I agree. You should mix it up and do different things. I love the idea of sending the spooky music at Halloween. That's a really good idea. All right, let's talk about love and money because that's the subject for the podcast. What do you mean when you say love and money?
So when I started my business, I was married to my starter husband. And yeah, he's a great guy. Don't get me wrong. We were great for so long until I started my business. And I met him doing door-to-door sales. So I thought he was more entrepreneurial. I always knew I'd be an entrepreneur. I just didn't always know what that was going to look like until I did that job and I met more people and I realized what I wanted to do, right? That's how it happens. So I went and started my own business. But he would, and of course, the roller coaster of cash flow that you're on in those first couple of years, right? Let's face it, it's a little stressful sometimes with not making money and then making money and then not making, and then worrying about your bills. My husband was constantly worried about our bills and would say to me, why don't you just go back and get a job? This isn't working. And like, he was not supportive. I would have speaking gigs in town or networking gigs after work, and he still wouldn't come to like see what I'm doing. And that was not support, even though he'd say, I support you, but he would do all those other things, which are not supportive. I had to leave the marriage because I needed that 100% support because it was really squelching my energy in order to go do the revenue generating activities that we need to do every day, right? So I would feel down and discouraged and hurt and unsupported. And that energy is the energy that I call the love side of your life. If you don't have that 100% personal love, happiness, support in your life or with yourself, then it's going to be really tough to stay motivated and energized to do all those revenue generating activities and make the money, right? So they go hand in hand. And I didn't realize that was what was going on at the time, but I leapt out. I started my own business. I bought another house. I was dating for a while, found a man who I thought was going to be the guy. And then I was happy again, right? Because I had a hole in my heart when I was single. I needed more of that significant other kind of love and support. I found him like, great, but he was a sheriff and he didn't understand the entrepreneurial world. I remember 4 months into our relationship going to a conference and dropping 50 grand, pulling it out of my IRA to go pay for this thing that I was doing. And he freaked out, rightly so. I was just starting to date him. he didn't understand what you do to invest in your business, right? And so a couple of years into that, he broke my heart. And then I started looking at my clients and why they weren't doing the revenue producing activities that I was telling them. All you have to do is this. This is what you say. This is how you do it. Go and do it, blah. And then they wouldn't go do the thing. And then until I started really investigating, okay, what's going on in your personal life? What's going on in your relationship? Do you have a significant other? Are you married? Are you happy? What are they saying? And I found that 60% of my clients were not happy in their personal lives. And that's why they weren't doing the stuff in their business as frequently and in depthly as they needed to be doing. So there is a correlation with the love side of your life and the money, the business side of your life. And you have to pay attention to it. You can't ignore it because it makes a huge difference in your revenues.
So I'm really curious about this because you have more experience, obviously, because it just seems logical to me that there would be a correlation between women, especially, who are holding themselves back because they don't want to be too successful because they don't want to outshine their husband. And that's a really shitty way to look at things. But I just have a feeling that that's still going on.
That is going on. I have so many friends. So now I surround myself with women who are super powerful. I didn't in the beginning because I wasn't there myself yet, right? And when I say powerful, I mean confident. They don't have to be making millions of dollars, but they're super confident and sure and passionate. And a lot of, I would venture to say that 70% of my friends now are making more money. The women are making more money than their man, and or they've retired their man from work, and or their husband is working for them or with them in their business. There's a lot of women out there doing that right now. But when I was in the dating world and looking for Mr. Right, it was hard because I was already making six figures and I was afraid to tell people, right? The guys I was meeting were like maybe lucky if they were making 70 grand. And I was like, and I didn't care because I knew I was confident. But yeah, when they found out what I was doing and how much I was making, they were a lot of them were super intimidated. It narrowed down the number of guys that was available in this manner that was going to be a good match for me, right?
My husband and I started a business in 1998, right after we got married. We were married in April and we started this business in June. And from the very beginning, it's been our business. He is a world-class custom furniture maker. He makes custom furniture for movie stars and Fortune 500 executives.
Fun.
But I am the salesperson. He wouldn't make that furniture for those people if I didn't land the sale. So it is our company. And it used to drive me nuts when people would say, your husband's business, your husband's business, your husband's business. And I'd be like, yes, but I landed the sale. He never would have met so-and-so movie star if I hadn't landed that sale. So I think that is also one of those cultural things that needs to shift, is that it's our business, not his business. And that people from the outside looking in, have to, and a lot of that came from people who didn't understand how business really works. I mean, sales is the number one most important part of a business. I don't care what business it is. True. If you can't sell, you can't be in business. Talk about that. I know that's one of your loves is sales and marketing. So talk to me about sales.
Yeah. So what I would say is that number one, you need to, for you and your husband or anybody in that scenario, is you have to make sure that the outside perception matches the inside, how you guys feel about yourselves and your business. So that means looking at your website, right? It could be that you don't have a picture of yourselves together on the about page. You want to have a picture. You guys might, but I'm just saying this in general, that make sure you have a picture. Make sure the website says our family business. Make sure you say he is the designer and she is the sales, right? And she is the customer service person and we are equal. You have to say things like that on your website so that people really get it. Your website is the hub of your business these days, and you have to share so much on there. People don't think about that kind of stuff. They don't think about really being, specific and talking about these things on their website, and it will make a big difference too in the sales, frankly.
So I'm just going to assume that based on what you just said, that you don't think that a person can have a business on Facebook only, that you actually still need a website.
Yeah, no. We, yeah, I know you're being sarcastic because you don't own Facebook, right? It's a marketing tool. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, all that is a marketing tool. Don't look at it as anything else. It's kind of like running an ad in a magazine, right? You're paying for that. Whereas you can do free stuff on all those other sites, but it's still a marketing tool, and you have to treat it as such and to get people off. Just like the magazine, we want to get people to our business or website or a store. Facebook, we need to get people to our website and get on our email list. You can't just house yourself there. And going back to the sales conversation a little bit, there are some businesses where you can hire a salesperson. And the ones that I've had as clients in the past have been like roofing companies. So, those kinds of people. And I have a flooring store up in Canada, even today, that I'm working with. And I've had to coach them on how to hire the right salesperson, because sometimes you're right, the guy or the woman who starts the business and they're good with the craft or they know their product, but they don't know sales very well. And so then they loop in their spouse to come and either run the office or whatever, manage the customers, but nobody's really very good with sales. So we either have to, and I had a roofing company guy who I said, because he was the salesperson, she was the office person, and they couldn't take a vacation ever because it would lose money. And I said, well, you need a salesperson. He's like, well, the only one that's ever sold is me. And I said, well, show me your sales presentation, first of all, because he wasn't having enough sales presentations. And he got out the flip chart, right? Of all let me just show you this, and let me just show you that. And then this is what you need to see. And then this. And I'm like, stop. Like 50% of the people that you're talking to don't want that presentation. Stop wasting your time, right? If you came to my house and tried to sell me that way, I would shove you so out the door so fast, it would make your head spin, because I want to know this, and I want to know that, and I want to know this. I want a 10-minute sales conversation. I don't want an hour and a half sales conversation. If I like you and I like what you're saying, I will buy from you. If not, bye-bye, right? So I just had him change the way he was presenting his sales presentation and asking people if they wanted it this way or that way first. And he got so much more business because he was reducing the amount of time he was spending with people. And then he trained his staff that way. And now he can take vacations because he's not doing the sales himself. So you just don't see sometimes what's possible to change in order to be more efficient, more profitable.
And the conversation that is important. So my husband used to purchase his hardware from a owner-operated hardware store that catered to wholesale. So it wasn't the kind of place where anybody could just walk in and buy something. It was wholesale. It was you had to own a business to shop there. And one of the salespeople there once said to him, "You know how many people come in here who wish they could be like you?" And the answer to that was that he's a great craftsman and he knew what he was doing. And I mean, he's made furniture for people around the world. There's a little piece of him in Saudi Arabia. There's a little piece of him in the Bahamas. There's a little piece of him in Panama. He's made incredible furniture. And he knew he was good at that. And he knew that I was really good at everything else. And he let me handle everything else. So the folks that were wishing that they could be like him didn't understand.
They didn't have you.
They didn't, that they needed someone like me to take care of everything else.
I know. But, and that is almost 95% never the significant other. Okay. So, because a lot of times they try to, like I say, rope in their significant other to do the piece you're doing when that's not their thing, right? That's not that person's forte or expertise or whatever. You guys got lucky because it just happened to be your thing and you like it. Some people do it because they have to help the business grow, but they really want to be doing this other thing over here, the spouse, right? And I'm like, you got to stop doing this thing for your spouse. You need to go do your own thing. He needs to hire someone for that piece in his business because that's not what you're passionate about. And that will cause divorce more than anything if you push yourself in that. Luckily, you guys don't have that problem, but most of the spouse working situations that I've seen have that problem. Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't you interviewing me, it's me interviewing you. So my advice though, if you want to work with your spouse, is you have to fill gaps. You can't overlap, and you have to give each other space, right? You have to give each other space
and communicate.
You have to communicate. And just don't try to micromanage each other, right? If your spouse is the one who handles this, that is what they handle, and you don't micromanage, and you handle this
your position,
and fill each other's gaps. Fill each other's gaps,
and hire out the ones that neither of you are good at or want to do.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid to hire out.
Exactly. So let's talk about head trash and toxic people, because we've covered both of this already. And so a lot of that, everything that you just talked about making sure that your spouse was a good fit and all that good stuff, that's about head trash. So talk to me about head trash.
Well, it's about thinking that you can't afford to hire someone, so I have to just get my wife to do this anyways, or my husband to do this. But it's head trash thinking you can't afford it. Stop saying you can't afford something. I was just talking to a client today who said, oh, I need to make more money consistently before I can hire someone to do my new web pages every month and my autoresponders. And I said, no, what about $75? What about $75 taking away those 3 hours that you're spending on a Saturday because you haven't delegated that piece yet? And it might be less than that, right? And I said, just start with one thing and it gets addicting. And she's like, okay. I'm like, you spend $75 when you go out to dinner with your husband, right? Like you go out to dinner, you're going to have a glass of wine, you're going to have dinner, $75, boop, done, right? Why not spend it to relieve that 3 hours so you don't have to work on Saturdays every other week to do these things? And she's like, okay. And then you have more space, you have less stress, you have more confidence because, wow, I have an assistant now, even if they're just working a couple hours. It gives you more confidence. It gives you more fuel for being that bigger CEO, which is going to attract better clients and attract more clients. And it frees you up too in the process to do the thing. So there's too many things we have head trash about: not being good enough, who's going to pay me, how can possibly I raise my rates if no one's paying me the rate I'm offering now. I can give you all kinds of reasons to that. That's just what I say to that is I say, stop it. Right?
Stop it.
Just stop it.
I really would like you to promote your speakers bureau or your International Speakers Network, because that's how I met you. And I think it's a really neat network. So plug it.
Oh, well, fun. Well, yeah. I mean, as an entrepreneur, we need to speak. We're speaking now. Right? She's hosting, I'm guessing. This is speaking. Facebook Lives, videos on YouTube, Instagram, it's all speaking. Okay. So every entrepreneur needs to be a speaker and hone your skills on speaking because it's the fastest path to cash. So come, it's a free group. We meet twice a month, the first Tuesday at 4:00 Pacific and the third Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. If you go to ispeakernetwork.com, the letter I, speakernetwork.com, you can join and come, and there's a Facebook group, and you can even apply to speak there if you're something to speak to speakers. So I would love it.
Awesome. And the link to that will be in the show notes. It's gratitudegeek.com, episode 111. That's a good number, 111. Gratitudegeek.com, episode 111. All right, this is it. It's the last question. Share with us your moment of gratitude. For whom or what are you most grateful?
In my entrepreneur journey, I'm most grateful for the mentors that I've had, because they opened my eyes to what else was possible that I didn't even see. They course corrected me when I was going the wrong way. And they, told me to do things and not do things in order to get me on the right track. And I would never be here where I am today without every single one of those mentors, no matter whether I thought they were the best or not the best. They all got me here and taught me lessons along the way. And I get very grateful.
Thanks for joining us this week for Gratitude Geek, the relationship marketing podcast, helping micropreneurs find your micro influencer magic. Be sure to check the show notes at gratitudegeek.com, episode 111, for the links to all the groovy resources mentioned today, and of course, to connect with Katrina Sawa. And while you're there, why not subscribe to the show on Audible, iTunes, Stitcher, or any of your favorite podcast players? Our theme music is track 14 by Rev Rock and Soul Lily. I've been your host, Candice Rodarti, inviting you to join me on my mission of spreading gratitude, sowing seeds of appreciation, and harvesting a bounty of generosity and kindness. Stay groovy, my friends.
I know we can make it.